We're live. Hey guys, what's up? You are with the Antler Queens, the most inclusive podcast, Yellowjackets podcast, where we shove peace, love, and Yellowjackets down your goddamn beautiful throats. Today, I am here with Eric. What's
Hey
up,
everybody,
Eric?
how you doing?
Eric, I never even asked you. Do you usually listen to us or watch us?
I'm not even like a big podcast observer or watcher or intaker of podcasts. I just know they exist, and I mean, of course, I'm aware of your podcast as well.
Yeah.
But I think at the time when you initially had started it, I was kind of like just fully invested in my own theories and stuff. And I'm like, you guys already know, you guys are off on your own thing. Like, and not that I was not discounting you or anything, but I just am not somebody who really listens to podcasts in general. But I'm
Yeah.
happy to partake in podcasts for sure. Of course, for
Well,
Yellow
it's fun to
Jackets.
talk about, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely don't want to talk someone's ear off at work anymore.
Well, you've been a supportive follower of the show, so I definitely appreciate that. And I am so Eric is my guest co-host for this evening, and we are discussing the season 2 premiere, Friends, Romans, Countrymen. Before we get into it, I kind of sprung this on Eric at the last second. A lot of you know I like to do kind of these fun hypotheticals at the beginning of our episodes. And today's, I was thinking since Taissa adopted a new dog, God, I hope Steve makes it.
Yeah,
Um,
Sarah
my
McLachlan is calling.
hypothetical is if all of the Yellowjackets characters were dogs, who would you want to adopt? And I sprung this on Eric at the last second. Do you have an answer already, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you were like, well, we got 30 seconds. How do you feel about if a Yellow Jackets were a dog? Which one do you get? I'm like, I don't know yet. I'm probably, regardless, just gonna go with the character who I think is most relatable, or I don't want to say realistic, but like I don't know what kind of dog Nat would be, but it would be a good dog. Okay, that's gonna be a good dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know what I'm
Um,
getting. Yeah.
I I think I'm see, I'm this one's gonna end up in tears for me because I'm gonna take my chosen dog home and then get home and be like, why couldn't I adopt both? Why didn't I choose the other one? And this one's hard.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I think I'm gonna it's between Van and Taissa.
Okay.
Um,
Reasons
but
being.
I think I'm gonna give it to Van just because I wouldn't be afraid to like fall asleep at the same time as her.
That's gonna be. Seems like it's gonna be a good dog. Seems like
Yeah.
that dog's gonna be around a long time. You know.
Yeah. I think Van and
Gonna
Taissa would both
go through
be
some
like
stuff here.
I think both Van and Taissa would be like really affectionate, sweet, cuddly dogs, but I don't know about I feel like I would have to make sure that I was on a different sleeping schedule
Yeah, if you had the
with
Thai
Taissa.
dog, get the puppuccinos or something.
Yeah,
Keep that
exactly.
dog awake.
Um, well, today is actually international. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen to right
Let's
here
see.
in just a second.
Yeah.
It is International
Oh, okay.
Transgender Day of Visibility.
Nice.
And if you guys didn't know, there is we have a transgender cast member, which is awesome. Um, very exciting. And that is Nicole Maines. And She plays Lisa, who
Throw that back up
is
there again. Throw that up.
oh yeah, no, I'm going to.
Oh, okay, okay. Just teaser.
But I just clicked on it by accident. But
Gotcha.
she plays Lisa, who is Lottie's Lottie's chick who kind of checks in. She's taking care of Natalie, and Natalie stabs her with a fork. And she posted this on her Twitter. So feel free to go ahead and follow her if you're not already. But she said, what everyone needs to understand is that transgender genocide is happening in America right now. Trans people are under attack in every imaginable way by some of the most powerful people and groups in this country and the world. Do not be silent. Amen.
Yep. True.
Silence is violence, right?
Indeed. Yep. Science is complicity.
Yes. So yeah, super excited because not only is it exciting to have a trans person on the show, but she's a big activist. She was a whistleblower. So it's super cool. She's awesome.
Yeah, that's
And
really
I'm
neat.
glad she's on the show.
Glad we talked about her yesterday and it brought that to my attention. I didn't even know I was a trans actor. So that's great. Yeah, it's cool.
Super exciting. So we are discussing today the episode Friends, Romans, Countrymen, which brilliant title.
Yeah, after watching the entire episode,
Yes.
just kind of like, of
Yeah.
course.
I think everyone was a little puzzled by the episode title at first.
True.
But
True.
yeah, but it was pretty brilliant. Now, what did you think about the episode overall?
So I overall liked the episode. I enjoyed it. I was saying probably I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 if we had to go by this some sort of scale. Not super the most wild in your face stuff that's happened on the show, that's for sure. But they definitely started to ramp things up, so that's I think why it's either like a 7 or 8, I'd say. But there definitely was a few things where I thought it left to be desired. Yeah, but other than that, overall I enjoyed it.
Cool.
How about you? What did you think?
Well, this one's going to be a rough one for me. I'm probably going to make some enemies after this episode on some of my opinions on the show on this particular episode. I mentioned to you that I caved and I said I wasn't going to do it, and I did it. I watched episode 2.
Which, by the way, I gotta
way
say,
better.
I still haven't watched episode 2
I know.
yet.
Don't worry, I won't say anything.
I just gotta say
other than
for the
I will
podcast.
not say a word.
Yes. Just gotta say
Other
it.
than I think it is miles better.
Yeah, and I I have heard same from at least one other person who I know is a big fan of the show too, and they had probably similar opinions as you, and yeah, and they all they did was text me this morning and say, "Did you see that episode?" And with like the mind blown emoji, just I'm like, I did it. Just hold that thought. But yeah. So next
That's
podcast
awesome.
or whenever. I mean, I'm watching it tonight, so let's wrap this up. Okay, let's go.
Oh, hey, 7D's in the chat. Hey, 7D, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like the episode if you're here and subscribe to the channel. This episode for me was, I mean, I didn't hate it. It's Yellowjackets. I haven't seen a bad episode yet.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's my least favorite episode that I've seen so far.
What did you think needed to, or what left? Something was left being desired for you. What did you need?
I felt disconnected. Like I felt almost like it was a combination of a few different things that just made me feel like I was watching a different episode, like I was watching a different show almost.
Okay.
And it was, the main things were the new cast members. I mean, it was just kind of jarring to go from, just seeing a couple people in the background to suddenly like they're just all up in our faces.
They're talking. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm so glad that they have that they've got speaking roles. That's great for them. But but yeah, and the other thing that really threw me off was Jeff and his dad jokes. Like, maybe it's because see we didn't really see that much of him in season 1.
True.
And he just like
He's a late
the little
bloomer.
bit that we saw of him, he wasn't a guy that, was making dumb jokes all the time.
True.
um, but
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this guy? Why is he like making up these dumb jokes suddenly? but but I mean, it had a lot of strong moments though, which we will get to as we go on. But yeah, it just felt weird for me. I don't know. Um, I'd probably give it a 6. I mean, I
Okay.
still liked it more than I didn't, but yeah, the next episode is just freaking amazing. Um,
Right.
but so the episode is called Friends, Romans, Countrymen. It was directed by Daisy Von Schurler-Mayer, who directed Doomcoming. Great
Oh, okay.
episode.
Fantastic.
She directed Doomcoming, and she also directed one of my favorite Walking Dead episodes too. So the summary is, and that Walking Dead episode, if you're curious, is in season 10,
Right.
called "Look at the Flowers."
I was out. I was out by then.
Gotcha,
So I
gotcha.
checked
Yeah, most
out.
people were.
Checked out. Spoiler alert! After Carl died, I'm like, wow, okay.
Oh yeah, that
was
got
just-
me to leave too.
It was too
Then I
much.
came back.
And
with
then,
my
but
tail
then there
between
was
my
just
legs.
so much, sideshow stuff, like Fear the Walking Dead. And
Oh,
I'm like, Day of the Walking Dead. I'm just kidding. That was like, I don't think that one exists. But they got it. They went after it with all the spinoffs, And I think there's more
yeah,
coming. I'm like,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
But so the summary, 7D says, I think episode 1 still holds up. I think it was a bit jarring as well. So the summary, 2 months into winter, the survivors cope with falling rations, low morale, and their latest disastrous attempt to freeze a teammate out of the game. Shauna explores the secondary market for Yellowjackets memorabilia, while Taissa, Misty, and Natalie all seek out best friends, both old and new. So that was we got a lot of us got these. I know we both got them. A lot of us got these pieces of mail that were teasers for the episodes, and it was good. You have yours on hand. I forgot to bring mine in. So we know what the grill means, and the rope. What was the lipstick?
What was the rope?
Yeah, the rope was the rope was man and tie. But yeah, I don't like. I feel like I missed something. I mean, I feel like
know. Is
the
this
lipstick.
is this the art room exchange? Is that what that is? No,
I mean,
that's a bit of a stretch. There wasn't even lipstick involved, I feel like.
I know it would fit for episode 2. I won't tell you any more than that. It would be fitting for episode 2. So I feel like it might be a mistake. I'm not sure.
Ooh, you hear that, Yellowjackets writers or whoever sent us this? Y'all messed up. When the episode 3 one hits, better be spot on,
I think they meant to include that in the other one. But
we'll have to
yeah. So anyway,
next time.
Yeah.
I got that here too.
We start off with Natalie and Travis setting off for a trip into the woods, and Lottie tells them to wait, and she applies some sort of concoction to their hands, and then performs like some weird ritual. She pricks her finger and she rubs it on the glass, I think, that they drink
she's
from.
Like the worst server imaginable. Just like, here, sticking the finger in the drink. Like, oh,
right?
Not getting a tip, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I would be worried about disease.
Yeah, for sure.
But Natalie suggests that she cut out the Wicca bullshit, but Lottie points out that they keep coming back safe. And like so you were as grossed out about that as I was then.
Yeah, it was pretty much like hey, what first it was, I thought, okay, they're gonna like, make a cross or do something ritualistic like on the forehead. I don't know, something like that. But then she just pricks it and then she's like, "Bloop." Like, okay, man. Yeesh. And you're worried about Misty doing stuff. She's
Yeah.
putting blood in everything they drink. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This
It's
is definitely
sweet that they,
pre-COVID. I mean, sheesh.
it's sweet that they humor her.
Yeah, true,
Um,
I guess.
but the blood is a bit much.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I think, I would probably be nice and humor her as well. Um, but yeah, once the blood happened, I'd be like, "Nope, see ya, I'm out."
yeah. It's like, had I have the vegan tea or something? I don't know
Yeah,
what this is even made out of, but
I don't
it's
know.
got to be more than just her blood, hopefully. God.
So, in 1998, it flashes forward a couple years. They show the survivors returning from being rescued. I was really bummed that we didn't see more of this, but,
Mm-hmm.
um,
It's got
'cause
that short stuff's got to be intentional for sure.
yeah, we will see more, I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
But,
But in
yeah,
what you do see is Misty kind of excited about the whole thing. She's definitely got a little smirk on her face there, like, "Oh, people looking at me."
see, I thought she looked a little panicked.
I think she did at first, but then it cuts to her a second time, and
Oh,
it's like you're looking at, like, It or something, Pennywise. It's just like a
gotcha.
suddenly she's smiling. You're like, "Okay, yeah,
Which makes more sense
yeah." She's
needed
she's
to, that's
finally,
that's a big that's wow, yeah, that's a lot to take.
yeah,
Um, but it was cool, it was cool seeing all the reporters there, the scary scene, just, like, being kind of aggressive and
they
they,
have to get on another
nobody's really
plane.
talking. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And, uh, and then this is a scene that I wanna talk a bit about. Um, Lottie's parents have taken her to see a psychiatrist, and they say that she has been barely sleeping or she hasn't been sleeping or eating. She's been wandering the house at odd hours of the night, and she hasn't said anything since she's gotten back. And, the her father asks the doctor if they can fix her. And the next scene is her being given electroshock therapy. It's a really disturbing scene,
Yeah, for sure.
and this is something that I recently learned more about. When I first saw it, I was like, "God, I didn't even think they were still doing that in the '90s." They still do it today, but it is
Oh,
nothing like you see in this episode.
okay.
There it's
Still
the
seems pretty
patient
bad,
is
but
always sedated.
okay.
The patient is always sedated, whereas Lottie was not sedated. And, so it was very disturbing, but it's pretty boring to watch. It's like a couple of minutes. The whole process takes a couple of minutes, and they're out for it, and it can have enormous benefits. The
Okay.
patients usually just wake up with a headache and, temporary short-term memory loss, which I have every time I have surgery. Can't I completely lose my short-term memory for, like, 24 hours.
Man, I
Um
do that every time I'm trying to look for something important suddenly in my house.
Right.
Like, the remote
But,
was right here. Like,
but yeah, so it's been demonized a lot. Now, there are absolutely people who have had bad experiences with it, but for the majority, it does a world of good, and, it's the side effects are supposed to be explained to the patient. Sometimes there's a lack of communication, but, oh, Ashley popped in.
hi,
Ashley, I have
Ashley.
undergone ECT. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. It's very different than what they used to do. For some folks with treatment-resistant depression, it can be a lifesaver. Yeah, that's what I've been reading.
Yeah, that was my question. If it was, what would it be treated? like what is it used to treat like psychiatric stuff, kind of like how they are doing with Lottie in this episode, or resistant to depression treatment, that seems extremely beneficial too, but not nearly as extreme as like what maybe
Yeah.
something that was happening to Lottie,
Yeah. Yeah,
depending on
it's
the level of depression, of course.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been kind of unfairly demonized,
Okay,
unfortunately. But
gotcha.
yeah, so it's they kind of dropped the ball a little bit with this one. But I do like that afterwards, she seemed to be doing okay. So at least they showed that it may have helped her somewhat.
Or
But
that she at least didn't lose whatever it seems like she had initially, I guess, because she was able to work with that other patient in her room and do the whole like breathing thing and whatever.
right,
Seemed to work
right.
pretty well for her, the other patient at least. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Lottie's
And
first follower right there.
maybe she might be at the compound.
Right.
I don't know. But we shortly after that, well, yeah, she's working with the with her. She's trying to help her roommate and calm her down. And then right after that, we see adult Lottie finally.
Hmm.
So pretty cool, huh?
Being a holistic healer type,
Hmm.
seeing a lot of comparisons to various types of cults that have existed or still do exist. But yeah, it was good to see her thriving. Yo, girl,
Yeah, yeah,
she's
looking
doing good there.
absolutely stunning.
Right, and
Um,
her whole what she was wearing was in total contrast to all of her followers, which is kind of
I
interesting
noticed
too.
that.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful setting. I, I I'm still trying to figure out this group, but she's addressing them, and she's telling them all that nobody can help them, not even her. That the truth is, there's only one person that can help them themselves. She says that they must find their truest, most authentic, primal, and elemental selves, that we're the ones making ourselves sick and the rest of it doesn't matter, that it's not real. So what were you thinking during this scene?
it's kind of a bit of a word salad, I guess. And I don't know if you
Right?
need to go out to. Granted, it's beautiful out there, it looked amazing, but I mean, don't know if you need to go out there to like hear this speech. You know what I mean? Like, are you helping
Right?
yourself by doing that? I don't know. Does this even cost money though? I don't. We don't know enough about the cult, and like I haven't seen episode 2, so I don't know if they touch on that sort of stuff yet. But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so they
So
from this though, um, yeah, it was pretty
can I, you know what?
interesting.
Can I just interrupt you really quick
Sure, sure.
before I let you go on? I'm going to give you a heads up. I already talked to you about this,
Hmm,
and
hmm.
everybody watching. I'm hearing the sirens going off. We're having really bad weather, but it's still just a thunderstorm warning. Think I think we're okay, but there's a chance that we may have to end this early. Just giving everybody a warning because I
Good,
just heard them go off.
yeah, good
Um,
to put preface that for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So if we cut out suddenly, sorry guys.
right, right.
um, but I'm sorry. So continue. I'm sorry I had to cut you off there.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, the way the code looks is pretty interesting, and thought it was funny because her saying something like that, where it's like I can't help you, only you can help you, which to an extent is true. But then, like, what are you doing there? What, why are you telling them that? Aren't you helping them? I don't know, but whatever. I'm getting too semantic about it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's it's kind of it seems a little like group therapy, except it's just kind of I don't know. It just kind of seems like more of her talking at them, which I'm not sure is all that helpful. But I don't know. It just and this is where I'm going to make some enemies. I don't care what characters you like. I enjoy all the characters. But man, this scene just really triggered me. I'm like, I think Lottie's gonna bug me. I think
Oh,
adult
okay, okay.
Lottie.
Mhm.
I think adult Lottie is really gonna get on my nerves this season. So
Gotcha.
sorry to any huge Lottie fans. I still love all the characters, but I was just like, oh my god, what I mean, I like I stand a character who killed her lover
Right.
and and
Oh,
then
yeah,
like,
true.
went to his art studio with her husband. So,
Mhm, mhm.
it's just we all have our you and I had talked about this before too. Like we all have our own little individual triggers
It's
and
a
this one
character, you know, but yeah.
this one is like, oh god.
Yeah.
She's gonna grate on my nerves. Um but yeah. And then we show her then it flashes back really quick to 1998 and she just you see Lottie boarding the plane and she just turns around and just lets out this scream um and I don't know, I that might have been the only vocalizing that she that she had done since rescue for all we know until they brought her in.
Till I get more treat or she got the treatment, yeah.
Yeah, but that was, when she screamed though, I felt for her because that was just an overwhelming situation, and I probably would just be randomly screaming myself.
I like
Um,
this. Maybe adult Lottie will break and go crazy like the other adults, says Art Wishwood. So there's yeah, we got a lot more season to go. There's a lot that could happen
yeah,
with this.
yeah,
She could have
she's
another
very,
healing session with something goes awry. Maybe she was trying to
yeah.
heal Travis. Don't know.
It's like that saying, it's always the quiet ones, like, she's a little too calm and I I don't know. I have feelings. She's making me feel things, and they're not necessarily pleasant.
Yeah, I think the calmness. I think the calmness will subside. I do think that will go away, and we'll see her scream as an adult too. I believe that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I'm not down with this calm and in control guru Lottie. Um, but so then this was okay. This next scene was kind of interesting. Did this voice seem familiar to you at all?
Yeah. Wait, right here we're talking about the
Oh,
mystery scene here.
the fake interrogation.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I did not
Sorry, I
recognize that.
didn't
Yeah.
preface that.
Sorry. No, I
I
did not. I of course I didn't recognize the voice, but I was trying to. I'm like, oh, is she really talking to a cop here? But yeah, I just couldn't recognize the voice initially. No.
I heard the voice, and apparently I was not the only one thinking this. In fact, the actor actually had to explain that it was not his voice. I could have sworn it was Wilson Cruz. Do you know who Wilson Cruz is?
I don't.
He played I mean, this was you're a bit younger than me, but this was like, I mean, everybody when my age practically watched this show. He was on My So-Called Life.
Oh, okay. So it's a
And
90s throwback.
yeah, yeah,
Nice,
exactly.
nice. That's funny.
And, I could have sworn that was him, but it wasn't. It sounded exactly so much like him that he had to come out and say it wasn't him.
Ah.
So many people commented. Um, I loved this scene. Did you enjoy this one?
Oh, yeah, it was like I felt like classic Misty, especially with the whole, "I told you not to don't talk to or just ask for your lawyer, don't talk to the cops." That's why I put it on the cookie, like, that's like she's got it's like made of meme material, I guess you could say, for, like,
Right?
nowadays, yeah.
Oh, James says, "Yes, the voice seemed so familiar." Yeah. I think a lot of people felt that. Yeah, so I mean, Misty was just, uh, doing a fake interrogation with Shauna, and Shauna didn't do so well because, according to Misty, all she should have said is, "I want my lawyer." But yeah, that cookie was so hilarious.
Yeah, yeah,
I wrote it on the cookie, yeah.
yeah. It's like It's
That
my
was
girlfriend right there. She's
Oh!
downstairs. She's a fan. Whoa.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Carla.
That's great.
Thanks for joining us.
She likes to
Um,
participate.
but, yeah, that was pretty funny. And then she, and then she wanted to send Shauna home with a Hawaiian punch kit.
Yeah. Sounds like a bad plan already.
Yeah, I'm
First
like,
of all, I wouldn't do that, like accept that from just like my regular neighbor, let alone Misty effing Quigley over here. You know.
yeah. I think it was probably harmless and just to
Oh,
to,
I'm sure too. But I mean,
illustrate how odd she is.
true. Yeah. I'm giving you
But
this gift of a punch bowl set with punch. Like,
yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah. I Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to I'm working out. I'm in the process. I've mentioned this several times on the show that the show has been having ongoing issues with merch, but I have made a decision that's kind of made everything easy and I'm figuring it out shortly and I'm totally making a cookie cake line
Oh, you gotta figure
with
this
the
out. Yeah.
I'm that needs to go on a shirt. That cookie needs to go on a shirt.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
um
Just that cookie itself is great.
yeah.
Give me one sec. I'm gonna turn on this light here and make sure I get a little more light in here. Give me one sec.
um so
And I'm back.
so
Okay.
you know, one thing that I'm sure everybody was thinking about during that scene though is that Misty I think Misty says, "I can't help but feel like we missed something." And obviously
Yeah.
they did, the big giant tattoo on his back.
That could be part of it. Yeah, for sure. But she's saying torsos don't matter. Remember?
Right. But and she never thought to ask if he had any tattoos. Oh, James says Misty's stare at the motel was amazing. I don't know why, but it was so captivating to me. Yeah, I noticed that too. um,
I'm assuming that's when she's grilling the hotel guy. She's like, I guess I'll just wait right here.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that I mean, did Shauna just never see his tattoo? I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
not
like that's impossible.
right.
You know? I mean, they spent time in a hotel room together. Um, I mean, it's, yeah, she may not have seen it when they were having
True, yeah.
sex if he was on top of her the whole time,
Right. For sure.
but you would think she would see it at some point, like
Yeah.
when he got up to get dressed or go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, there
It's
has to
it's
be something we didn't see that she saw. Yeah.
yeah,
Hard to accept
it's
as a viewer.
it's very strange that Shauna that Shauna wouldn't have said something, and I think maybe she did realize this and just is kind of putting it out of her mind because she freaked out and just tends to do that when she's panicked about something. Oh yeah,
He
they
jumped
did
off
jump
a
off a
bridge.
bridge. Yeah,
True.
it's very strange.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so remember, kids, if you're talking to the cops, I want my lawyer. That's all you need to say. Um, so Taissa is at an animal shelter,
Mm.
um, looking for a biscuit replacement. And I loved this is what I loved about the scene. I had a joke with a friend of mine that, like, sometimes you'll see dogs with people names.
Mm.
Um, I had a dog named Clancy. Like, I mean, people name their cats and dogs.
Yeah, we got a cat, Frankie, but I know
Yeah.
exactly. Just go on. Continue your thought. Finish your thought here.
Yeah, but it seems like it's always kind of I don't know. Like I've heard Frank a lot of times for usually for cats for some reason, but I it I my friend and I always had this joke that we whoever found a dog named Steve first buy the other one a house.
Oh,
Because it's just Steve just sounds like such a masculine
hmm
kinda, masculine human name that it's
Right.
just like you would never imagine a dog named Steve.
Yeah, for sure.
And
There's like an old Nick Swardson joke like that where he's talking about like why do people name their pets human names? You don't see guys running around like someone's about to have a mental breakdown and they're like might be going to jump off a bridge like come down sir, what's your name? It's like my name's Mittens, man. Like no one names that doesn't go both ways. You don't give people,
that's hilarious.
well, I guess unless you're a celebrity, maybe you might give humans pet names, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's possible.
Like Gwyneth Paltrow's kid's named
Mittens.
Apple or something. Yeah, Mitten's pretty funny though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. Mittens. But yeah, so anyway, to that friend of mine, you owe me a house if you're watching this.
Found Steve. Hello.
Yes. You can have my house if you want it. It's
Oh.
not that impressive. And it's in Indiana. I mean, it's in the Chicago area, but you know, it's still Indiana, so it's like, eh.
Oh. So you're near Chicago. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like right on the border.
All right.
Like 25, like I mean, we're about 15 minutes outside of the 10, 15 minutes outside of the city limits.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, but it's weird. It's just it's still Indiana, so it's just kind of a weird spot.
It's way more. It sounds way more Midwest than Chicago.
Yeah,
Even though Chicago is also the Midwest, it just has more of a big city thing going for it.
I miss it. I miss
Oh.
living there.
Mhm.
But you know, we have dogs and need a yard and stuff now.
Steve. Oh,
Adulting.
Steve.
So yeah, so Taissa Taissa cracks me up in this scene. I would I used to volunteer at a animal shelter for years. Um and I was an adoption screener and I don't think I would adopt out to Taissa based on this scene.
Right. Right. Right.
But, you know, she got lucky because the young woman there was a big supporter of hers and
She was gushing. She was
yes.
absolutely gushing.
Yes. And Taissa just wanted to get the fuck out of there
Yeah.
as
Like, give
quickly as
me
possible.
Steve. Like, just hand it over.
Yeah.
I'll do the paperwork later, whatever. She was not at all interested. Just like, give me another biscuit. I mean, Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
But
so,
it,
you know,
go on. Go on. Yeah.
oh no, so, you know, I'm just hoping that Steve has a better fate.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's what I was going to say about the Taissa timeline. Out of this episode, that was probably the only thing where I was kind of hey, Crowbar, what's up, buddy? That's used to be in my old band.
Oh,
Steve is
cool.
in danger. That is correct,
Yes.
Danielle Elizabeth. Yes. Um, but the whole Taissa timeline in this episode one was a little too slow for me. Like I thought that's what was needed a little bit more, in my opinion. But
Gotcha.
because it was kind of like the revelation was like, whoa, she discovered what she did. Wow. Like, well, we know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was probably my least favorite of the different storylines that were going on in this episode.
Mhm.
Um, plus it's just, you know, it's not all that fun just to see like, you know, things were so nice when Taissa and Simone and Sammy were a happy little family and there were no altars with decapitated dogs' heads.
Yes.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's,
It's
you know, it's
simpler
kind of a
times.
bummer to be reminded of that, but you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, for
um,
sure. And she, to be fair, she didn't know. So yeah,
right.
she needed to see that, of course, to know that
Yeah.
she's done something terrible and whatever. Um,
But yeah, I agree that it was kind of one of the slower points of the episode.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Taissa does thank the young woman there. She said she campaigned for her, and she said every vote counted. Which I mean, I think it was like they said it was ridiculously tight at the end,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, they said it was just a close call. And She didn't even expect to win,
Yeah. And, one thing I want to say about this is um I don't see this scene as being all that realistic. And I realize I'm spending a little bit too much time on this scene, but
The
um
adoption part is what we're talking about.
it's well, it wasn't the adoption part of it, but just that she would be walking in and run into to somebody who campaigned for her.
Ah.
This is state senate.
Mhm.
Somebody kind of left an unhappy comment on one of our earlier episodes because I think they were misunderstanding what I was saying. Um, they said that it was a very privileged point of view because I had said that nobody cares about their state senator. What I was actually saying is that no, you should care,
Mhm.
but
It's rare to
people.
find people who do care.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Okay.
it's people barely care about about their U.S. senators.
Right. I get what you're saying. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think the fact that it was somebody who worked at a shelter, you know, it wasn't some like Joe Schmo. It was like this particular type of person, somebody who's like caring for animals,
yeah,
things who can't take care of themselves, so to speak. Um,
yeah.
uh,
That's
it
true.
kind of makes it's believable for me, but I totally get what you're saying. Where you're like, really,
Yeah.
like
I wish that
definitely.
they had made her I wish they had made her a US senator because I
Well,
it just
they got 2, 3 more seasons to go.
yeah, I know. But yeah, it just I don't know. I just feel like they take state senate way more seriously in the fictional town of Wiskayok than anywhere else in the country. Which
Right.
is
Like
great.
a
Good for
Jersey,
Wiskayok.
yeah, is Jersey like really that up on politics right now? I
I
don't
don't think
really know
anywhere is.
how. Yeah, it's rare in general. You're right. You're right.
Yes.
Should
But good
stop
for you,
even.
Wiskayok.
Like I'm just so optimistic about that stuff. Like people really are trying. Hello.
Yeah, at least they are in Wiskayok. I'm gonna move there right after we finish this.
Yeah, campaign. Got a campaign for the queen.
Um, yeah, Taissa Turner for president.
Yeah,
I would vote for her.
that could be a shirt. That's going on a shirt right there.
Yeah,
Taissa for president.
definitely.
Boom, boom.
So, then she's talking to her campaign manager on the phone,
Yeah.
whose name is Bethany, who I remembered from, last season when she emailed her. But interesting little factoid, she was in the original pilot script, she was married to well, I don't know if they were married, but there was no Simone, she was with Bethany.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that was, I think they probably changed it 'cause it probably would have gotten a little bit too complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, to
They wanted
imagine
to
her doing something like that with her campaign
yeah,
manager and yeah, maybe a little bit
I think they wanted to kinda
messy.
separate the storylines out a little bit more.
Right. It's
Um,
good that she still has personal troubles going on as a strong political person because that seems like a yeah, that mimics real life, I would imagine, in some ways.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, she's in the car with Steve and she's, Bethany's already talking about reelection and she just kind of hangs up on her abruptly. She's going to pick Sammy up from school, which we'll see in a bit. But we go back to Misty's house. What do you think of this citizen detective website scene?
It was pretty good. I had people that I know talking, or when they were talking to me about it, they were like, "This looks like a Reddit sort of type of site for the citizen detective stuff."
Yeah.
And it's hilarious her reaction to reading everything, just like
Yeah.
extreme downvote, like no, like so that was a great reaction to that. It was great.
Yeah. Um sorry, I'm just kind of randomly popping up comments here.
Do
Um
it.
yeah, it was for the site was I actually did I froze it on the screen, and the site was called Forrit, Forrit.
Oh, okay.
So
For
yeah,
it.
it was like a Reddit, it
Yeah.
was like a
Yeah.
Reddit
Mhm.
parody. But yeah, we got a little voice cameo
Little
in
bald
this
turd.
episode from Mr. Elijah Wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't see him, but we got to hear him in this episode at least. And he's a citizen detective. Um and he has some theories about Adam.
Yeah. And that's a bad thing that Misty knows that he
Yeah.
has these theories. It's
Yes. Did
definitely
you
not
catch
good.
his username, by the way?
I didn't. I should have. What was that? Did
Um
you have it in our?
it is putting the sick in forensics.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. It's a good one. And she's what, the gray macaw or something like that, or
She's African gray.
African gray. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like
Yeah.
making up birds now.
And he's doing this weird Telegram bit where,
Yeah.
he's doing stuff. I don't know what that's all about, but fortunately he cuts it out pretty quick.
Everyone's got their quirks, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, these citizen detectives are good. He got access to Adam's credit card records somehow.
Right. Right. Stop.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like it was Misty's thoughts intruding. Stop
Right.
doing that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point. Oh, we got a new comment here. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's he basically first suggests that he says it's always the husband, but then he suggests it could be the mysterious lady friend.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when
Whoever.
Misty is just like, no, no.
Yeah. Downvote. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, she downvoted the hell out of him.
Yeah, like I felt it.
Yes.
Don't know if it translated to anybody else in the virtual universe like that, but I definitely felt that one. Yeah.
She was probably like, did you see her phone, by the way? When
When
she
she was
like
like trying, she was like,
all of her calls.
I didn't see all of them, but I saw that there were quite a few. But
It
yeah, she had
was
been trying to call Natalie a bunch of times too, I guess.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
all Natalie except for one call to Hello Birdie Pets. That was in the middle of her desperately trying to get a hold of Natalie.
Right, right, right.
Um, so that was kind of entertaining. But yeah,
Yeah, I
Misty just
love all
kinda
those like little things that it shows. They're so great. Like,
I
and like
know.
one of the things that happened with Misty in the first season, she just like is going to see Nat at Nat's place, and she like knocks on the door, all, and Nat's like, "I told you, we don't need a code." Like, I think that's
Yes,
hilarious.
it is. It's
So,
very funny.
so like this character is just like completely layered. It's incredible. So good.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it seems like she's panicking a little bit though,
Oh yeah,
Like
definitely. We haven't seen adult Misty in a mode like that yet,
yeah,
aside from when it was possibly with Jessica Roberts. Um,
right? And I'm sorry,
uh,
guys, I'm sorry I keep looking down. I'm just keeping an eye on the weather here.
oh yeah,
Uh,
keep us informed too.
if it looks like I'm just, I'm not just like checking out and browsing my phone. I promise. I'm just keeping an eye on my weather app. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I mean, when
she wasn't
they
even panicked with a dead body. You know, she's like,
right,
"Oh, I'll be right there," and let's just stop that off. She's making jokes the whole time, and now
yeah,
that
she walked
somebody's
in and she's
onto
like, "Who
the,
died?"
yeah, 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 and now that
Uh,
somebody's traced it, but yeah, yeah,
yeah,
crowbar. There
crowbar,
is a
big,
big storm,
yeah,
and there
nasty
she
weather
goes.
going on out here. It's pretty bad. Um, but it's telling us to take shelter in place, but it's just a thunderstorm warning right now, so I'm kind of ignoring it. So if it gets to the tornado level, and then I'm gonna cut and run. But it's not like that the warnings kind of have different levels of of drama that go along with them. It's like it's basically action. It's an action recommended to shelter in place. If they were saying like shelter in place immediately, then I'd be cutting you wrong. But right now they're just recommending it, so I think we'll be okay. um, but yeah. So then we go to the Sadecki house, and Shauna comes into a very sassy Callie. So brave. um yeah, so Callie's sitting on the couch with Kyle, her boyfriend, and Shauna walks in and just gets an icy reception from
Yeah,
Callie.
yeah, and that whole, and then it even rubs off with she's talking to her boyfriend. Callie's talking to her boyfriend. She
Yeah.
doesn't even seem to care about this dude either. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll hang out later. Whatever. Don't be so needy, dude. Like you're like 16 or 17. Which you're like, that's the time they're gonna be needy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I sympathize with her. That was totally me in high school. I felt like I was watching myself.
I what transpires in the scene though, I thought was also hilarious too,
Mhm.
for Callie,
Yeah.
just to be like, I can't believe you're holding all this back from Dad, and then Shauna has a breakthrough moment. It seems like where she's like, look, we I told Dad everything. We talked about it. He knows, so he knows. And then she's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe you told Dad, and then like runs out. Shauna's like, I it's like didn't matter what she did, she was gonna lose that one right there.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
I mean that's obviously intentional humor, but it's like Yellowjackets knows how to go from serious to that sort of humor like so well, and it's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I appreciated the, and I saw a comment about this too that, like, Yellow Jackets doesn't, and this is something that I comment on about the show a lot, is that they don't really none of the characters are really stereotypes. And, they've kind of stayed away from that. But Callie was just a total teenage stereotype in this episode, but it totally worked.
Yeah, yeah. It was great to see her just be mad at mom no matter what. Like that's how it was pretty much.
Yeah.
And,
And, yeah, Callie is 100% 16-year-old angry teenager vibes. Yeah,
yeah,
she is. And she's vaping like crazy. Um, but, yeah, so that was I enjoyed that scene quite a bit.
yeah.
Um, but
For the reveal and the humor, it was really great.
yes. But then it gets weird because the next thing that we go into is Jackie. Frozen popsicle Jackie.
Dead
Spicy
ass Jackie.
popsicle.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's a spicy popsicle. Um, her corpse is sitting in the meat shed that they kind of, snacky.
snacky. Yeah,
Shelly Anna just said snacky. I love that. That's awesome.
totes adorbs.
That's great. But yeah, like they put this kind of makeshift meat shed together, and I guess that's where they're keeping the bear, but they're also keeping Jackie there. I guess because they can't really bury her yet, because the ground is too
Too
frozen.
much snow. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I was transfixed on the interaction between the two because obviously one didn't exist, but I didn't even pay attention to like what else is in there. I mean, I know the bear is
Yeah.
supposed to be in there. I didn't see pieces of bear. I just saw
I know, I
the
didn't either.
whole Jackie conversation and
Yeah.
everything that transpired there. I was just like, when I saw that happening immediately, my first reaction was, "Oh no, oh no."
Yeah.
But I understand grief and whatnot. But and this was like, yeah, to know
Yeah.
that this is her playing it all out is like it was jarring. Somebody had said it earlier in the comments. That was another description I had used to describe the show. This scene especially because um, she just goes from regular conversational Jackie to dead ass Jackie in a split second. And it's hard
Yes.
to like, oh, it's almost like Jack Nicholson in the Shining sort of thing. Just a bang. You see it.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
really jarring
a
because I mean, you
shocking
think at
moment.
first that Shauna is just, like, dreaming or imagining this, and then
Yeah,
suddenly you just see her talking to her corpse, and it's just it just made me think a lot. Like, they're in this situation that could cause a lot of it's there's obviously they obviously have a lot of stress and trauma, and, their mental faculties aren't really what they should be. None of them can possibly have great mental health right now. And if you can imagine your best friend dies and her body is being kept around. Like I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know that it would be out of the realm of possibility for me to be doing the same thing.
right. I think though, because let's face it, she was there like with the group, like with the team.
Yeah.
I could even feasibly see it as like the team, not everybody all at once, but let's say maybe like yeah, like some sort of line where they like all just like say something to Jackie at some point of the day. But yeah,
Yeah.
they weren't necessarily best friends like Shauna was with Jackie, but yeah, best friend.
Right.
But
Yeah, and
yeah,
I mean
it's
she's
still just because she was part of the team, she was around and all that. I feel like there'd be some connection, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, when someone is buried, it's the burial is always for the survivors, for the
True.
loved ones. Um, it provides closure. And when you've got this dead body sitting of your best friend sitting in a meat shed, there's no closure. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's just yeah, she's gonna be struggling to accept reality.
Yeah, and I guess it helps. Well, doesn't help, but does this more frequently because she is the one that like is cutting up the meat and all that stuff. So she's not. No one else is really going in there for anything else, I suppose.
Yeah, that's so fucked up. I mean, you would you would think that she would maybe, work with somebody on showing him how to do that but yeah, she should not be doing that. She should not be I know she's the butcher and everything, but, like, it's just that's really hard. Like, sending her in there to take care of it and having to look at the corpse of her dead best friend
I
every
wonder if there was a like conscious decision made where after they got that meat shed installed or whatever, if at some point Shauna was like, "I'll do it. I'll be the
Yeah,
one to go cut the meat. Since her body's in there, it'll be okay." And then it
yeah,
became this thing where she sat in there for way longer than it needed to be when to cut the meat, and everyone started
right?
realizing what's going on.
Yeah, no kidding. Um, but, one thing that's cool about this whole scene was pretty cool, but, um, one really awesome thing, that we found out about the diary. Um,
Oh
there
yeah,
were all
yeah,
of those,
definitely.
entries.
I appreciated that because
Yeah,
there was such a big like fan just discussions about that in general.
yeah,
Like, where did this come from? How did they put all this down? And then we see everyone like matching the mash game or whatever that they
mhm.
did. Yeah, so that's pretty incredible that that it works out like that. Like that they writers are doing great stuff here.
Yeah, so it wasn't yeah, it turned out to not be Jackie's journal at all, it was always Shauna's,
Yeah.
and she just left it at her house or, maybe gave it to her parents or whatever, and just she probably writes in it every time she goes there,
Yeah,
and
right. That's kind of what I was thinking too, even from the scene in season one where she opens the journal and Jackie appears.
yeah.
Like that's like how long has that been going on?
Yeah,
since she passed. Apparently, it seems like
25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's God, that's rough. Like, I always had this feeling that Shauna may have ended up marrying Jeff because she felt some obligation to Jackie to
Hmm.
make sure that, he was to make sure that he was taken care of or whatever, or just to have or just to feel like she was still connected to Jackie somehow, you know?
Okay.
Um, I always had this theory that that's why they ended up getting married. But, yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah.
Um, but I do have something kind of amusing to show. So, one thing that we did last, last season when we were doing the recaps is, I would always make up these superlatives, and I was gonna do I we talked about this yesterday, and I was gonna do a couple of them, and I only got time to do one, and I gave it to Jackie.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me bring the comment down here for a second. Yeah, sassiest ghost, Jackie Taylor.
I
And,
accept it for sure.
I gave her a little frozen face there. And, I put a quote down here too. I'm, like, trying to sorry, oh, yeah, that's, like, Haunting 101.
True. She
So,
did.
I gave her a nice little frozen yearbook photo.
And that's
Ghost
definitely
Jackie.
like it feels like her saying that is at least the writers having a good appreciation for like just horror stories in general because that is a lot of how uh, I was a big fan of horror going into Yellowjackets, and definitely that's a big play on things where you're haunted by just something you can't let go, sort of thing. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, but, yeah, so that was, it's a sad scene, but it's good to see Ella Purnell back, at least, you know? It's good to
definitely.
have her back. Um, but, and to get answers about the journal. Um, but yeah, but Shauna's talking about how she just wants to live in the moment because, she as far as she's concerned, she doesn't know that she has a future.
Yeah,
Um, and so we go into the interior of the cabin, and, Taissa and Van are talking about their sleeping arrangements, and, Van reveals her wrist, and it's all
big
kinda
up.
kinda cut up. Basically, they've been sleeping with their wrists tied together at night because of her sleepwalking, because of Taissa's sleepwalking, and, I love Van in the scene. Um, Van is really they're stepping up her character already, I can tell a lot.
She had
And I
so many amazing lines from
She really does.
just from the
She's
first season alone. It's going to be
Yeah,
incredible to see an adult version of that. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be
I know.
amazing for me. I'm
I'm
excited. I'm excited.
I am too, especially because I'm such a Lauren Ambrose fan. Um, but yeah, Van is just such a great character, and she's Tice is a little bothered by the marks on her wrist, but Van tells her it's worth it, and maybe she just wanted her to tie her up.
Yeah, she's got the
Which,
best response for everything.
she really does.
Yeah,
I
like
love it.
super witty.
Um, and I kind of like that. This is the scene where they're talking about Shauna being outside with dead ass Jackie, and I love how she put that, like, dead ass
Yeah,
Jackie. That's how she's gonna be that's how she's gonna be known from now on.
yeah.
Um, but, and then poor Crystal's just, sitting there humming to herself and just trying to mind her own business, and they're not really having it.
The new girls aren't really having it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone else is just kind of ignoring her.
They don't
But,
know she exists, I guess.
yeah, but, But yeah, and then, Shauna is just kind of continuing to talk to Jackie, and she explains how, like, she basically made the first move on Jeff.
Right,
She
right,
kissed
right.
him, and they, had just broken up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like it's interesting to watch this kind of stuff because dead ass Jackie was like getting a little upset about this. And so it's
Sassy dead ass Jackie.
yeah. So
She
Shauna
knows
is
too
like,
much now.
yes.
Shauna had to take things into her own hands. You've
Right.
heard too much. That's an
But I mean,
FDB pun.
Shauna's clearly like, I mean, she can't let this shit go. She's blaming
Oh yeah,
herself a
yeah,
lot.
for sure.
Like she's
That's
just
her talking. Like
great.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
wow.
Everything Jackie is saying is what Shauna's saying to herself. And it's
Yeah,
just like she can't stop beating herself up.
right. It's too much
And
narcissistic grief and just yeah.
yeah. And then she just, she kind of takes it out on dead ass Jackie and poor dead ass Jackie's ear falls off.
Shauna's like, you're lucky you're dead already. And boom, she knocked her over.
Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and she kind of looks confused as to what to do, and she just picks up the ear and puts it in her pocket. And
Yeah, that was you know what I'm talking about? She was confused. I was pretty confused there too. Like, hey, you're just what? I'm stealing your ear. It's like
yeah,
we're talking about dad jokes. Maybe this is where they originated. I got your nose, got your
right?
ear. This is stuff right here. It
Yeah,
all
I mean,
started with Shauna, not Jeff.
if that were me, I feel like I would just kind of leave the ear there and just like, yeah, it must have just broken off somehow. Like,
Just like gently place it on the shoulder. Just like, who's gonna
yeah,
know? I'm the only one
yeah,
in here. Who's gonna know? Boop.
yeah, exactly. Like she could have tripped and fallen on her, and
Oh yeah, or
but
like the next person to go in there, like, oh my god, her ear, and then you go like, well,
yeah.
what did you do? How did that happen? Oh, yeah, just
But
instant
yeah, I think that
escalation.
was I think that was a way of I think that was a souvenir.
Yeah, it's a it became a full time souvenir by the end of the
Yeah.
episode. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But so then adult Shauna's back at home, and she's checking her safe, and she finds some of Adam's stuff, including a key to his art studio. And she freaks out and calls Jeff. Jeff is hilarious in this scene. He's like, McDonald's chicken nugget department.
yeah, it's just like, excuse me, what is happening here? I guess to be fair, we never really saw Jeff in like a good mood in the
Yeah,
first season. We always saw him basically on edge, but we didn't know that. Um, and then, yeah, so I think we are seeing more of Jeff uh, in a few different ways, just because he's happier and stuff too.
yeah.
Granted, there's stuff they still got to deal with, but I think I think he's still feeling better about himself and Shauna.
But it's interesting that, he was struggling so much with the furniture store, and suddenly it's doing great after Adam died.
True, true, true. That is another connection for sure.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
it kind of blends into that whole theory about the wilderness following them.
Right, right, right,
Adam was like the blood sacrifice that Shauna
right,
got
right.
something out of.
She had to spill
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And but she's freaking out because um, she
because she spilled.
yeah. But yeah, she forgot that he has this art studio and she has no clue what's in there. She's never been there. Um, so like,
Doesn't know where it is.
she
She finds it.
yeah. So she hangs up and then we see Taissa showing up to pick up Sammy with the dog and Simone, my my future girlfriend Simone comes running up. She's just beautiful. Rakaya Bernard is just such a beautiful woman. Um, she comes running up and screams at Sammy to get away from the car. And so, I mean, this really does pick up right where it left off.
Yeah, and this was a moment where I don't know if I had too much to drink or smoke or what beforehand, but because the very beginning they had mentioned like we've been here for 2 months, so it's kind of like a little bit of a time jump in a way, and
Mhm.
my brain just like automatically assumed that like the adults time jumped too, like right, like accidentally connect did that, and when that did not happen, and so I was like, why would she be upset like 2 months later? Why would she confront her 2 months? It's because it's tomorrow and not
Yeah.
like 2 months later or whatever, or like a day or two later, whatever it is. But yeah, so I
It gets
was
confusing for sure.
had a silly moment there. Yeah, but
Yeah, no, it totally gets confusing because you wanna keep lining everything up like it's the same amount of time, you know?
right, and it just was like, why was she even? I think she would have been upset right away, but this is right away. This did just happen. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and Taissa
yeah,
has no idea what the fuck she's talking about,
of course, yeah, for sure.
and, she just tells her she found that thing in the basement, and she needs to get help, and if she doesn't step down, she's going to talk to the press. So, that's kind of a problem.
That would be scary for a political person to hear, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. And, yeah, it's a little scary. And so it's, she takes Sammy with her, and poor Sammy's probably kind of pretty bummed because he didn't even really get to meet Steve.
He also doesn't know what's going on,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Fortunately, let's
right?
hope it stays that way.
I mean, he knows like 10% of what's going on.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
on one of my last rewatches of the season 1, I was trying to watch it as Sammy. No, yeah, everyone keeps like there's a lot of commentary about Sammy being a creepy kid. Sammy's so
Mhm.
scary,
Yeah,
that's one creepy kid. I don't know, but I started looking at it as like he already knew. He already knew that about the bad one, and he was trying to figure it out. And
right,
so he was way more scared of what Ty was going to do the whole time. So if he wants to see her to make sure she's not doing anything crazy or that she shouldn't be doing. Anything uh, otherworldly or whatever you want to call what her other Ty, the bad one. That's
yeah,
really what gives off the creepy vibes. Like, why is Sammy always looking this way, acting this way? I'm like, well, if he already knew that, then he's gonna he's gonna be creeped out by mom. Yeah. So that's I looked at it a completely different way. I didn't think Sammy was creepy at all.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it starts out like, you just you kind of think of him as this creepy kid, and then it's just
Yeah,
like you
they
just
did
kind
have
of
that vibes, but
yeah,
on the rewatch, I just had to like think of it in a different
yeah.
way, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and then your heart just kind of breaks for him, you know?
Yeah. He's like he has to deal with all this, and this is what he does to deal with it. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel sorry for him. He's the cutest little kid.
and
Um
it took me a rewatch to understand the Halloween outfit, like
Oh,
Sammy the sandwich.
sandwich.
Oh, dude, I can't believe I didn't just easily Sammy the sandwich.
Yep.
There you go. There you
And I think Biscuit was dressed up like a hot dog.
go. Ah,
So they're all about, very, kind of alliterative, is that the right word to use in this context, type of costumes, or
yeah,
punny
they
costumes, you know?
right, yeah, they played on a big food pun. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Runs in the
Yeah,
family.
exactly. I was kind of surprised that, Taissa wasn't dressed up like a Thai or something.
That's not food.
Yeah, I know.
You have to be like tie the pie or something. I don't
She
know.
could be like bow tie pasta or something, I don't
Mm, mm,
know.
mm.
I don't know.
We're reaching, but it's maybe next season. We'll see. Make
Yeah.
it to Halloween next season.
So, so back in '96, we go back to Natalie and Travis. Man, this just looks brutal. Like, they're just wandering around, and it's you're seeing kind of you're starting to did you kinda notice Travis's demeanor seems a lot different?
Versus the previous season, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's more of like a he understands the survival mentality, it seems like, and working together is
Mhm.
what needs to be done, and more accepting of doing something like that, where he was very resistant in season one.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a complete dick season 1,
Yeah, for the
and,
most part. Yeah.
he was I found him just, like I found my heart kinda breaking for him. Um, it's I felt like, "Oh god, this poor kid," he's just he really wants to find his brother and, he seems a lot more vulnerable and like a kinder, gentler Travis. Um, but, I mean, struggling, starving out in the woods and, having to pull together with a group of people, I guess that'll do that to you, you know? You can't really
Definitely.
be
And
the
and
same cocky asshole.
and while I feel like he definitely was kind of basically a dick in the first season, I also found myself relating to him as like a teen, if I was
Oh,
a
sure.
teen, just because like I was terrible with chicks and everything, that sort of stuff. So he clearly didn't know how to act, or just he couldn't act like, I guess, just be a normal guy, quote unquote. He
Yeah.
he still is aware of the hormones and everything like that, and he just doesn't know how to be a person amongst them. But I think that's changed now, at least in the season two here.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he was kind of an asshole to Javi, but he also, they also made it clear that he did care about him.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that was
but
abundantly clear.
yeah, I mean, he was very kind of typical big brother like to him in the
Right,
first season, I
that's
think.
a good description. I would say. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
had a big brother, but that sounds. I believe that sounds about right to me.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a dick to him at times, but you could tell he cared about him.
Yeah, I mean, just the
Um,
whole thing with the ring. It's a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
deal.
exactly.
A huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah, great point. But yeah, I mean, he just, completely starts freaking out because he thinks he sees Javi
Oh my
in the
god, I
ground
know.
under the snow, and fortunately, it's just a fox.
That was
But
another jarring part of the episode for me
right?
because it does show Javi first. You see what Travis sees, and that's scary.
Yeah,
But yeah, then we all come to, and yeah, that's was terrible, but also good that we didn't see real Javi down there like that.
yeah, yeah. Fortunately,
Yeah,
but yeah, my heart was definitely going out to Travis in this episode. Um, but he suggests that they need to start getting up earlier and searching out further, and Natalie is just so sweet. She thinks he's dead, but she
she's gonna
agrees,
go.
and she's supportive, and says that they could start, another hour before sunup. And Travis uh Travis suggests that they head back, but Natalie makes sure to mark the location before they leave. Um this next scene is great. The motel. Um the actor who played the hotel manager, I loved him.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was fantastic.
He was fantastic.
Super
Um
deadpan.
Oh, yeah, he was so hilarious. Misty is checking in because Natalie hasn't been returning calls, and she's just kinda looking for answers, and he's super dismissive, and, he's like, "Oh, yeah, let me check my records," and he's just keeps looking at his book. And, yeah, he's really entertaining this whole time. Misty keeps pressing him, and
Yeah,
she's like, "Something must have."
even when she presents him with all his personal information,
Yeah,
uh, he seems barely like flustered by that.
yeah,
He's just like, whatever. What are you gonna do? And explains the whole discreetness of the entire facility.
yeah.
No, there's no Wi-Fi.
The no-tell
And
motel,
yeah,
you
right,
know?
exactly. So discretion is key, and it's like she didn't get that, you know,
Yeah,
and She said that it's her mind, it's impossible. There's always a trace of something, she's a citizen detective. And so,
Yep.
as far as I'm concerned, she's the original citizen detective. So
Yes,
she's going to get to the
absolutely.
bottom of this thing.
Absolutely. But, yeah, I mean, he basically just says, "You have you ever stayed here? It doesn't matter because even if you did, you didn't."
Yeah, that's a great
And
line. It
yeah,
just sums it up so perfectly. Even if you did, you didn't.
yeah, and it's sometimes, like, she would need a warrant, and even then, he's got a terrible memory.
Yeah.
So that was yeah, this guy was a great actor. I loved it. I love when there are, like, just little minor walk-on roles for an episode and the actor just kills it,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
out the
It's,
park.
I love that. I love when that happens. I'm gonna have to look up his name. I forgot to do that. But yeah, he was great. And she just, she tells him that she has an abnormally large bladder and a giant novel, and she's just gonna sit there. And
She can do that, and I saw specifically regarding the scene. Somebody in some of our discussion groups had said something about, like, as a nurse, I totally relate the abnormally large bladder part. I
yeah,
totally get it. It's like,
yeah.
oh well, if you can relate, this is more truthful than I realized. But okay, cool.
Right? I wonder if that was my good friend Jade. She's a nurse.
Guys,
And
it's great.
but yeah, that sounds like something she'd
She
say.
talked to you about her bladder, or
All the time, yeah.
yeah,
That's all we
comes up.
talk about.
Yeah, like it's time. Oh, okay.
But, but yeah, like, he tells her he gives her a lie, basically. It's just like she split in the middle of the night and left cash, and Misty believes him, which surprises me, you know?
Mm, I
I
think
mean, she
she
believes him at
had to.
first.
I think she had
Yeah.
to, like, okay, and then she goes in the room. She's
Yeah.
like, "Jill, I have no problem. Just give me the keys or whatever."
Yeah,
Uh,
I felt so bad for her. I mean, she was really upset. She started crying.
yeah, she
And,
she really didn't know what happened. That is,
yeah, and, and then she just, she notices that the door is a little messed up, and she's like, "I knew
yeah,
it."
she
And,
done figured it out already.
yeah, yeah, so I mean, she figures out that she probably did not leave willingly. Um, but, so the next scene is the art studio.
Oh, all right. What are we waiting
Now,
for?
I have a lot of thoughts on this scene. First, I wanna comment on the song.
Hmm,
Um, this episode had a lot of great songs,
yeah.
and I was going to say that my favorite song in the episode was Cornflake Girl,
Mhm.
but on my rewatch, I totally changed my mind because and decided my favorite song of this episode is Number One Crush
That was
because
playing here.
yeah,
Okay.
it made me think completely differently about the storyline.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's so they show up at his art studio and he's like, "Are you sure this is it?" And then she sees the coexist sticker
Right.
and she's like, "Yes, this is definitely him." So they walk in and Number One Crush is playing and they walk in and it is filled with paintings of her. And, she said she never posed for him. Um, how long were they seeing each other? Not very long, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they couldn't have been seeing each other for too long. I would give that storyline, the adult timeline, is got to be like a matter of weeks, if that.
Yeah,
You know?
like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, not it couldn't be very long, I
Um,
would say.
and that's a song that's kind of that's got a very kind of like stalkerish, obsessive feel to it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha.
And it's a great song. I mean, I love the song, but on my rewatch, I'm watching the scene. I'm like, okay, it was an interesting choice to me for sure to have that playing when they're walking into a studio filled with paintings of her. Um, and I think that might come into play later. I just have a feeling that at first my original guess when I was theorizing about what was going to happen with Adam is I felt like they were going to frame somebody and it was going to end up being either Lottie or Walter. But I'm thinking now that they might get out of this by the cops finding other materials that suggest that he was stalking her, uh,
Okay.
and, and obsessed with her,
Okay.
and maybe she'll confess to killing him in self-defense or something,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll get off. Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I like
I
this
don't know.
theory just because it makes it they could it would leave it would make her even more paranoid just to have cops coming to see her, even though
Yeah,
they'd just be questioning her about him because they think he was he was the bad guy to her, but she's not going to be thinking that part for sure.
yeah,
If a cop's just, I need to talk to you about this guy, that's not what she's going to be thinking. She's
yeah.
going to be thinking, "What guy? What do you mean? This is guy? Don't I don't know any guys. I know my husband, and that's it."
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he showed up at the hotel where she was,
True.
and he showed up at her house that one night. I
Hmm.
think it's possible that he really was obsessed with her, but was good at playing it cool.
Right. Yeah, I think
Um,
it started perhaps. I think it's entirely possible that when they had the accident, that was completely. I don't want to say innocent, but like that was not
yeah.
intentional. But then
No,
it
I
just
don't think so.
started from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, it's kind of unusual to he was pretty aggressive with her from the start, you know? He moved in fast.
True. I would say he could. He did at one part when he was even just on one of their first phone conversations. I think it was. uh, he was saying like, "Oh, you like to. I know you're someone who likes to break the rules or something like
Yeah.
that." And but I the impression I got from that was like, yeah, that's a weird thing to say, but also like, it's also just like a bad like guy thing to like pickup line, just bad pickup line. You know what I mean? And this guy's just
Yeah.
like throwing stuff out there, like, "Hey, lady, hey, no." Okay, I'm sorry, I messed this up. This is dumb. Like, he just kind of had a self awareness moment. But if this
Yeah.
whole stalker thing, pans out, then that's another thing altogether for sure.
Right? But you know what? He's a really bad stalker because when he called her the first time, he was eating a sandwich.
Hmm,
And I'm
delicious.
sorry, but if a guy called me, I mean, I'm married, but if a guy called
Hey,
me and
head stopper.
yeah, well, she was too.
Right.
Um, but if a guy called me on the phone and was eating a sandwich in my ear, I don't think there's anything that he could say to him that wouldn't make me want to get off the phone as quickly as
Right.
possible.
Yeah.
So he wasn't very
Like
good at it from the
enjoying like a
start.
cold cut or something over there while trying to like plays that kind of plays into my like bad pickup line, which is bad timing all around right there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, so man, this scene is just so messed up for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know, like what are the biggest takes that you took away from this scene?
Uh, so a big thing for me was it, it was a good scene to show sort of like a vulnerability aspect from Shauna's end. It seemed like,
Yeah,
um, especially when she's like telling Jeff everything about. She's like, "I was into that stuff. I just thought that you were, blah." But that didn't seem to work in season one. I didn't get that vibe. She didn't seem
yeah,
turned on at all by that stuff. But having her express all that seemed kind of like a breakthrough moment for her.
yeah,
And to have Jeff still be accepting of all that is now like a Jeff thing. That's just like what he does. Shauna is like, "I'm this way," and Jeff's like, "Okay," and he just accepts it. And that's like they're partners in crime now. That's how it. literally.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's until they were they didn't have a good. Obviously, they didn't have a seemingly good connection or like love life or anything, and
Yeah.
it was all very stale. And the fact that they partook in something like this, and Jeff is helping.
Yeah.
He's definitely in on a lot of this now. But it's with Shauna. I mean, like there's stuff they know together that the rest of the group doesn't know as adults. So
Yeah.
um, they're lying to a lot of people, but they're
For
in it
sure.
together. Is kind of how I see it now, where it's like a I don't know. The this has brought them closer together.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna kink shame,
Yeah, yeah. I'm the
but,
same way.
but this was a little this was a little fucked up. Okay, first of all, just from a practical standpoint, there's DNA all over the place now.
Right. Yeah. And that was another thing. Uh, brought this up when we talked before, but there were people who thought that maybe they didn't even actually get get it on in there.
Yeah,
I believe they did. I feel like they did.
yeah.
But once people planted that seed of like, well, actually they didn't because look at their faces. Like they actually seem pretty upset that this something maybe didn't happen. I'm like, "Ah, I don't know.
They did seem upset, but afterward, but it was just a weird situation all
Yeah,
around.
that's how I feel about it too. Where it was like, we did that. Now we're on to the next
Yeah.
thing. It's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, like, how do you do something like that and not feel super weird about it afterward? I mean,
Yeah, for sure. He's
it
staring at
was
pictures of her all over the place. Like
yeah, that were
it's like the
painted
whole
by her
yeah,
lover that
her
she killed.
yeah, her dead lover. Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
it's a lot of mental. I could to be fair, if he didn't get up, I totally understand. I mean, look,
Oh,
look
yeah,
at what's going on.
absolutely.
Like, just whatever. But I still feel like they it was able to happen. And
I think I'm more concerned about the idea of him getting it up,
right,
actually.
right, 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 right. I mean, it's the role playing thing is reality now. So they're on a new level, and
Yeah,
don't know if they're
yeah,
going to therapy anymore.
yeah, I wanna know what's going on in their bedroom from this point on. There's gotta be some freaky stuff.
We know what's going on in the art studio. Sheesh.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But
But
yeah, so
yeah, if they
they
did
destroy
get it on,
everything.
and they
What's
first
up?
destroy it, but if they did get it on, then yeah, their DNA's all over everything, and like
Yeah. But I mean, even
kind of a
just, like,
problem.
they were touching everything, you know?
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
Um, they, yeah, and then they destroyed the paintings with paint thinner, which just, when their fingerprints and whatever else, whatever other kind of DNA is all over the place, it looks a little suspicious.
hmm
So yeah, I don't know that that did a whole lot of good.
or
Um,
if there's like no cameras at this place,
right.
like,
Yeah, it's a little
it's
weird.
got a key
I
to get in. I don't. That's the only thing keeping this place secure, I guess.
yeah, yeah, I that's why, like, all of this stuff, they were so messy that I'm really thinking all of this stuff could end up in her claiming self-defense because of, you know, he's gonna
I
be
see.
painted as, like, a crazy obsessed stalker, which he very well which I'm starting to think he may have been.
Right, right, and but it does seem like if the DNA stuff pans out, it would definitely a lot of fingers are going to be pointing back to her
Yeah,
and
for sure,
Jeff. Yeah,
for sure. Um, so, back in the wilderness, Shauna is showing up, um, with the
meat.
meat. And, poor Misty, she's trying to help out, and Mari is not having it. And they,
Rightfully so.
yeah, 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 exactly. And I gave a lot of flack to Mari, when we recapped the episode last season, the finale episode. I gave a lot of shit to Mari because I was like, "She's the one that just grabbed the mushrooms and put them in the stew,"
Uh,
but Misty should have said something.
right, right, right. She like sat there and was like, "Ooh,"
Yeah.
just like let it
Yeah.
happen.
She just
She's
yeah,
like, "Stop,
exactly.
not those." She didn't even try, but
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't even say, like, she didn't even tell Mari. I mean, it's possible that maybe she didn't tell Mari because she was worried about wasting food or whatever and figured it might be harmless, but yeah, no, Misty, I definitely am putting more blame on Misty for this one than I did at first. But, but yeah, she I love her line though. She's like, "It's not like I'm gonna poison anyone
Like,
again."
even in her young age, she's making memes here. Like, gonna
Right?
poison everyone again. Yeah,
No, Shelly, I would not trust Misty with making my
yeah.
food. But yeah, like, I guess she drew the 4, and that means that she has to go get the water, which
Oh,
I guess she keeps drawing the 4, so it sounds like they're making that happen.
got
Which,
sleight of hand. It's just the deck of cards. At least one of them's got to have picked up on a couple
yeah,
tricks
yeah,
naturally.
exactly. Um, and, she goes outside and we see my new favorite character, who everybody is saying is annoying, but I love her already.
Uh,
She's just so adorable. Crystal.
hmm
She's she's just singing her little Jimmy Durante song and and, um the song that she was singing, The Glory of Love. Interesting little factoid. That song was also in Beaches. And I did not know this because I've never seen Beaches. But I looked that up and or I either looked it up or I stumbled across a comment about it, but it was in Beaches with and so that's the second Beaches reference in the show
oh,
because the first one was when during Jackie and Shauna's fight. Um and I forgot what it was that Jackie said to her
she says something
um
about beaches.
about being in her about or you're so jealous
There
of
you
me that you can hardly breathe or something like that. Um, and Shauna's like, "Did you just quote Beaches to me?"
Gotcha. There you go. Yeah.
Um, and, so yeah, that was the second Beaches movie. Or I
So this
mean
is a
Beaches
beaches
reference.
reference. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Do,
But,
do, do you know when beaches when beaches came out?
I'm not sure. I don't remember,
Okay.
but, yeah, it
Like, is
was,
this a '90s thing? I'm just not sure.
yeah, 1988.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, Misty's just kind of annoyed with her singing, and she's trying to get her to shut up, but I love that Crystal says, says singing helps to grease the skids.
Oh yeah.
So they both enjoy singing while taking a dump,
Right. Yeah. That's like she's at that point she's just quoting Misty because that's what she was doing with
right?
Coach Ben. He's like, "Yes, sometimes you got to sing,"
Yeah.
and that was another hilarious scene from season
And,
one, of course.
yeah, definitely. And I thought that was gonna make Misty warm up to her right away, but it didn't. What got her to warm up to her was she said that she could teach her how to sing and they could harmonize.
Yeah. She's like,
And Misty
"Really?"
seemed to really enjoy that. She's
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I could have a partner in something."
Yeah. I'm
She's
still
like,
pretty worried. I'm still
"Yeah,
pretty worried about Crystal here. Like people are worried about Steve and with Ty. I'm worried about Crystal with Misty. That's
I
my
am too, for sure."
yeah.
Yeah, Crystal just seems really sweet and adorable, and yeah,
Mhm.
I'm kinda worried about her.
Yeah, I like that
Um,
theory. Yeah, I'm still curious how the whole black box thing will come into play if it'll come back. But
yeah.
yeah, I do think right after that scene where Misty turned around after the harmonization part, I'm like, uh-oh, Misty sees this either as like a social stepping stone moment
Mhm.
or a new person to manipulate, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I think, it's like I think she just wants to belong somehow, and she wants to I think this kind of, like if she has a friend and they have a thing that they do together
mm,
that kind of, like, ties them together, then, like, I think that's something that excites her, you know?
right, yeah, especially
Because
out
it's
there
like
right now for sure.
yeah, yeah,
But
she has a
also
she
in real
just
life in general, probably. She probably would, appreciate something like that if back at home.
yeah, yeah, she probably, I think she just wants a partner, like, in something. Um, and, that's kinda how she treated Natalie, She kinda just chased after her like she just wanted a partner in crime.
True.
And, but yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what hopefully Crystal will last, but we'll see what happens. Um, so Natalie then goes to talk to Ben. Oh, that song originally was in the 1968 movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Huh. Okay, interesting.
Da da
Um,
da.
yeah, I've seen that movie. I remember that movie.
This is only making me more worried.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Um, but yeah, I'm thinking about just the title of the movie, not necessarily the plot of the movie, but the title
Oh,
of the movie.
exactly. Works for me.
Um,
That's all I need to know.
yeah. Exactly. But,
Love these snippets. Thanks for the comment,
yeah.
Lauren.
But, yeah, it's, Natalie's talking to Ben about where they've been out looking and the maps that they've been making, and they haven't seen any sign of game or of Javi, but they still don't wanna let Travis down.
Yeah.
Um, and they're too afraid to do that. Um, and, which is pretty noble, but man, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
I would do in that situation.
I mean, they are, well, Natalie mostly, and apparently Lottie as well, is, uh, helping Travis cope at least in the moment,
Yeah.
and and give him some sense of hope at least, or Natalie's understanding to the point where she's at least down to go out with him every
Yeah.
day. Whether she takes it more of a hunting thing rather than looking for Javi. Um,
Right.
but either way, she's there to support him, so that's good.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and then we see adult Natalie waking up in the bed. Now, fun fact, I posted a reading of this. There's temporarily no Patreon for the moment. I don't know if we're bringing it back, but I posted a reading that I did with Justin from Out of the Woods podcast of this scene back in December or January.
Oh, nice.
So it was, yeah, I found some leaked material
Mm.
and we did a
Guys,
read through of the scene, just
concocted
so as
this
to
scene
not
yourself.
implicate anybody. We read through it together,
Nice.
um, rather than just show it. And we put it up in the Patreon because it was season 2 content, so we didn't really want to like
It's a
get in
major
trouble.
spoiler alert. You got to go search for that.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this though is there were a couple of lines that were left out of this scene, and one of them
Oh,
was
from what you had already read.
yeah,
Okay.
it's yeah, and one of them was, Lisa had asked Natalie, "So how do you know Elizabeth?" And Natalie said, "Oh, it's Elizabeth now, huh?"
Hmm.
So, it's I I wonder if they were originally gonna have her, like, living under a different identity, or if maybe they just used that as a code name, to
For this,
not be so like, for the auditions, you know?
right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For scripting purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, to not make it so obvious. So I'm
Mhm.
kinda leaning toward that now, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes more sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but, yeah, Natalie is, tied up to the bed and, she Natalie's like, that symbol around your neck tells me all I need to know. And, she's got one of the pendants on. And she asks her to uncuff one side at least so she can eat, which come on, Lisa.
Poor girl. I
Really?
mean, this is the part when I'm like, this chick's already been talked into being in a cult, so she's just easy to manipulate. So she's
Yeah.
That's like, I got you. You can just do this. It's fine. And the chick's like, "Yeah, okay, okay." She's been manipulated yet again. Oh, who knew?
Oh,
But
man.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a bad move.
hmm
So,
good
it's
move for Nat. Great move
yeah.
for
Oh,
Nat.
yeah, for sure. Um, Nat immediately, I noticed, immediately goes for the baby carrot, which I would not have gone for first. I love carrots, but that looked like a raw carrot, and I hate raw carrots. Sorry,
Oh,
I just had to comment on that.
I'm okay. I don't know what it is. I've been fine with certain raw veggies. Like if you
Yeah.
like carrots and broccoli, I'm like, okay. Maybe add some ranch, of course, but I mean, like, I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I was a good baby when it came to eating those veggies. Give me that broccoli.
Yeah, I'll eat cooked carrots all day long, but
Yeah.
raw carrots.
They're so crunchy.
But yeah, so Lisa makes a silly move and uncuffs the one side. She could have just fed her,
Yeah.
but um
Could have thought
not like
about
we're
it for
rooting
more
for
than
Lisa
10
instead of
seconds.
Natalie or anything, but still.
Right.
um
Ways she
but
could have got out of it.
yeah. But the next scene is great because Jeff is in the garage in the van and he's just sitting there contemplating life and turns on Last Resort by Papa Roach, which if I could imagine Jeff just rocking out like crazy in his car to anything, this is the perfect song for him.
The song absolutely sent me. I could not believe that it was happening. It was hilarious. And again, another incredible spot of humor amongst this like very heavy show. I mean, let's be real here. The stuff we're talking about in the show is pretty wild and over the top, and this
Yeah.
guy gets to jam out in his car to Papa Roach for a whole like 30 seconds to a minute or whatever we see.
While thinking about having sex with his wife.
I guess, yeah, yeah, and it's just so funny because it was just so unexpected
Yeah.
and completely random. And to anybody who I was like telling to go, oh, the new episode's out, go watch it. I was trying to like, give his little spoilers, no spoilers. I would say, I will say this though, they do spend a little bit more time with Jeff, and I'm literally only referencing Papa Roach here,
Yeah.
and it's so good. It's just so good. That little bit is amazing.
Yeah, no, it was. I love that we're seeing more Jeff. I love it.
Yeah,
Jeff's
yeah.
such a great character. But yeah, it was great because we we next see him approaching Shauna outside at the grill, and she asks him why he's so sweaty.
Yeah.
But she's trying to burn her journals and the last of Adam's things, his driver's license or whatever. And he he had a good idea. It was like, I figured we could eat Franks and beans for dinner so the neighbors don't question why we were using the grill in November.
Mm.
And it's like, good point. So they get a little bit too excited about burning stuff and end up almost setting the tree on. Well, they do set the tree on fire.
They double douse everything in the grill with
Yeah.
all that lighter fluid, and yeah, just almost explodes the way that thing went
Yes.
up.
But I love at the end though, after they put the little mini fire out on the tree. Um I love that they look at each other and she's like, "I think that went well." And he's like, "Yeah, that went great." He kind of
Yeah,
smiles a
yeah.
little bit.
If this is a glimpse into their future as partners in crime,
Yes,
it's gonna be a
exactly.
wacky, wild ride.
Exactly. Um and we see another glimpse in the next scene of another great actor, the dog.
Oh my god, right?
So Taissa is, at home and she's in the basement and she finds a sweatshirt of Simone's and she's kind of smelling it and she's like, that's some sad ass divorce shit.
Hmm.
And then she sees the blood outside the crawl space, goes to investigate, finds the altar, immediately realizes that she did this.
Oh yeah.
And Steve comes running in and she picks him up and he looks terrified.
Yeah, he's like, what? This is what I came home to.
He's
My new
looking.
home.
Yeah, he's looking at the altar and looks terrified. This is like the greatest dog actor of all time.
Yeah, you hire Steve, everyone.
Yes.
To have that amazing shocked face.
Yes, he's a he's a dog prodigy for sure, a dog acting prodigy.
For sure.
But she tells him that this was a mistake. I'm gonna do better with you, which I'm like, okay, just give the dog to Simone, please.
Yeah. She needs to do better with people also. But
Yes.
luckily, as far as we've seen, she hasn't killed anyone as an adult yet. Or whatever.
Oh, Shelly says the memes of Steve are everything. I haven't seen any because
Yeah.
I've been having such a hard time keeping up because it's just been such a chaotic week. But yeah,
Yeah.
I need to see some of these memes.
I think there
Um,
was one from like the official Yellowjackets page, and it's just the shot where she's like holding Steve, and Steve is looking at the altar, and it just says "in the arms of an angel."
um, yeah, Shelly, if you can, if you have some of those handy, tag me if you could. If you're on Instagram or Twitter, you can tag the Antler Queens. I would definitely like to see those. But yeah, so where were we? Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. So back
Memes,
at the
Steve.
Sadecki house. What's
Yes,
up?
I was just like memes with Steve, but yes, we're moving
Yeah.
on to Shauna and the hot dogs.
Yeah, yes. Shauna, yeah, they're sitting down eating dinner and Jeff tries to make up a hot dog joke on the fly. And he's like, "What did the bun say to the hot dog?" And he's just got nothing. And he is Shauna tries to finish the joke for him. And it was kind of interesting because she's like, maybe something about the the bun not wanting to its identity tied to the hot dog and other stuff can go in me too, which
Mhm.
was interesting because I that kind of reminds me of like how she was with Jackie a little bit, you know?
They had she had an identity tied to Jackie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That she was trying to kind of break free of. Um, but it's just they're like they're really cute this season together.
That was such an odd thing to
Yeah,
see, because I mean, like, who does that? Who
yeah,
just is like, I'm gonna think a joke's gonna come to me? Like,
yeah.
doesn't really work like that. Especially if you're like, you have what she said. She's like, why did you even have that setup? Like, why did you do that? Like, it's not like
Right.
they're just having conversation and something funny came out. He's like, no, I'm gonna make something funny from this. Like, I'm gonna get
Yeah.
juice from this somehow. Like,
It
just
just
didn't
didn't
make any
happen.
sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, that's Jeff's failed attempt at a dad joke apparently sent Callie over the edge because she she got up and stormed out and she's a vegetarian and Jeff very sweetly insisted on grilling her a veggie burger and she's like, "How heteronormative of you." And he's like, "Hey, maybe old-fashioned dad stuff is just my love language." And, yeah, she was putting on a tough demeanor, but you kinda saw her smile a little bit.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But yeah, Jeff actually gets my MVP for this episode, just being like, he just has such a everything's gonna be okay attitude.
Mhm.
And, he's a good person to he's if you're gonna have a partner in crime, Jeff is a great one to have. Oh, thank you, Shelly. I
Yeah.
just tweeted you 2 of them. I will need to, take me back to the shelter, please. I'll make sure to look at these as soon as I'm off here. Um, but, yeah, Jeff is just he's so great. And, it's we just called it the MVP last season, but I think I'm gonna kinda give them 90s references this time, so I'm gonna give him the Sassy Magazine award. Um, you probably have no idea what Sassy
I
Magazine
I
is,
never
Eric.
subscribed to Sassy Magazine, I'm sorry. I was more the
I think
Parade every Sunday, Parade
yeah.
magazine. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Sassy was like, in the 90s, every cool, edgy teenage girl was obsessed with Sassy magazine.
That's funny.
So I was a big Sassy fan. So he gets my Sassy magazine award for this episode.
Nice.
But so they're back at the cabin, and Nat and Travis are sitting by the fire, and they almost kiss, and then Travis just like kind of his mind is just wandering, and he just looks really sad. Um, he's thinking about Javi, and he says that he knows Natalie thinks that he's dead, and the poor guy just starts hyperventilating. His eyes are rolling back in his head, and he's just completely freaking out. And um, Lottie comes over and puts her hand on his chest and tells him to breathe. And he sees images of. Was it him seeing these images or Lottie seeing the images of?
I feel like it's him.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, it is hard to interpret. We've had that sort of thing happen last season where we're like, was
With the
that?
dream.
Yeah, where it's like, is that Shauna dream? Is it Jackie dream? Shauna? Is it? But yeah, so it kind of plays on that. But I
Yeah.
felt like it was. It felt more like it was Travis seeing that.
Yeah, same. That's what I felt
Yeah.
too. And he just, he sees this tree kind of filled with light, and she tells him that Javi's not dead. And then Natalie kind of wait, before
Yeah,
before
you
that
skipped the
happens.
part.
Yeah. She
Went right
totally
over.
calms him down, and he gives her standing ovation.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Yeah. I would say it's another part where, as a teen, I would have related with Travis. If it was just any touch from a woman, like, oh my goodness, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, he quickly pulls the blanket over his
Yeah.
crotch,
Hmm.
and Natalie follows him out, and
She doesn't talk
you
about
know,
that.
yeah, yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't bring that up.
She could have. She didn't say.
But yeah, she was like, please don't give him false hope. And then Lottie tells her there is no false hope, only hope, which I'm just like, oh, okay. This Lottie is starting now.
Right. She's entered her phase here. She's entered
Yes.
her doom coming moon queen phase, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. And so back at Lottie's compound, Lisa is returning to check on Nat, who, she left half unrestrained. And she leans over to fix him. And Natalie had undone the other side with her free hand and slips out and goes to stab her in the face with a fork.
Yeah.
Fortunately, she got her hand up in time, but she took a nice stab wound to the hand.
Yeah, looked like she was
Um,
in complete shock after that, after being stabbed in the hand. She basically
yeah.
survived an attack on her life. She
Yes.
if she didn't do that, she was gonna die. So yeah,
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
And she's just like, and Natalie takes off running, and she's just chased through the woods by some of Lottie's people. And I kept thinking during the scene, like, that's got to be really kind of terrifying and triggering,
oh sure,
to be like
or
running alone through the woods, being terrorized after all that we've seen from them from
true,
the
yeah,
90s timeline.
yeah. Given just the intro of that show, from season 1,
Right.
for her suddenly having to be chased through the wilderness, yeah, out of nowhere. Granted, it's
Yeah.
not quite the same environment, but it's close enough, man.
And I
Yeah,
still
I would imagine that would
maintain,
be triggering. Yeah.
yeah. And I still maintain my theory that Natalie is the one on the edge of the pit, standing on the edge of the pit, of the pit when we see Pit Girl fall in.
Oh, she's one.
Um,
She's one that approaches,
yeah.
like the
I
first one that approaches, or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sticking I've had that theory all along, and that's what I'm sticking with. And so I'm just like I was kind of thinking about that when that was happening. Like, she's got to be thinking about that.
Right, right.
Um, but
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I didn't even think about that. I definitely thought that the woods alone might have been triggering, but having that aspect, I was not thinking about that for sure. She would, if she's participated in something like that, then oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, so 1996 again. This was a really started off as a kind of weird and scary scene, but was really sweet and just made me love Van even more.
hmm
Um,
yes,
Van and Ty are in bed, and Taissa starts kissing her, and it looks like it's getting a little hot and heavy, and then she bites Van hard enough to draw blood.
yeah.
Um, and Van screams out, and Taissa wakes up. So she was doing this in her sleep.
She definitely right when she woke up and looked at Van too. I looked. I think I looked at my girlfriend right, and I was like, "That's other Ty."
Yeah,
You could. It was like noticeable that this was a new person entering the chat right there.
yeah. I didn't even notice that.
I was like,
Um,
I had a vibe, had a big vibe, and then right when she bit into it like that, it was like, oh, and then she wakes up. It's like, okay, okay, yep, oh yeah.
yeah,
Felt, yeah. So it's interesting to witness other Thai, the bad one, so to speak, emerge like that.
but Van just proves that she's the greatest girlfriend of all time.
Yeah, really. Remember those a bunch of like spirit Halloween memes going around like
Yeah, yeah,
last
yeah.
year? They would like put a picture of anything on a box and be like, "Oh, this costume is the blank." They had one of Van. I was
Okay.
like, it's called the indestructible lesbian.
I think I might
I'm
have seen that one.
like that's perfect. Like
Yeah.
nailed that one. And it's just like Van sitting there. Like yeah,
That's awesome.
it's like
Um,
absolute best description for that.
I saw somebody make a comment, um, that I loved about how, there's the whole barrier gaze thing, with shows having a tendency to kill off their gay characters. They're
Oh,
like, Yellowjackets did the complete opposite of
yeah.
that.
So far. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so
That
far.
we know. Yeah. Yeah,
But,
that's good. Talk about
yeah,
representation. Mhm.
Van just tells Taissa she's not afraid of her, and this is what I love. She said, "This isn't her. This is just something that's happening to her, to us,"
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
I, was so sweet.
Yeah.
And she killed a wolf for her, which is just the most romantic thing ever. Um, and then she takes some of the blood from her mouth where Ty bit her and writes, "I love you" on her arm, which was weird, but so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a given the circumstance, not super weird because they are
Right.
out in the wilderness and everything,
Yeah.
for survival and whatnot. But yeah, it was a little like a little grotesque in a way, but also like yeah. And then of course Van plays it off perfectly. It's like
Yeah.
you're kind of leaving me hanging here. Yeah,
Yep.
it's so good, so good.
But it was so sweet because it's like she was, the blood was something that tied into her that she's trying to convince her is.
She's like, I'm not affected by this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I just it was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene.
yeah, it was
And
great.
it sealed Van as like one of the greatest characters ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, even just as we still haven't even seen adult Van, and so yeah, this
Yeah.
she's great. She's been great the whole time.
Yeah. And Liv Houston is just so great. I mean, we saw them um we saw them display some pretty good acting talent last season, but I mean, they're just fantastic
Oh
this
yeah,
season.
phenomenal.
Um, so I'm glad they're getting a lot more screen time for sure. Um, then we see adult Natalie back in the woods, and this was really creepy. She sees some weird ritual going on. It looks like some kind of rebirthing ritual or something.
Mm,
Everyone's in white robes and animal masks, and they're burying a naked man alive willingly. Um, and I mean, he gets out at the end,
right,
but
the rebirth.
yeah. Um, Lottie approaches and she sees Natalie, and Natalie tries to take a swing at her with a giant stick. And Lottie tells Natalie that she has a message for her from Travis. And I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's like, where is this going?
Does she really? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Um, and I love I love like when they do montages with songs over them. I always love those in TV
Yeah.
shows, as long as they're well done.
Right.
And this episode ended with Cornflake Girl, um, which somebody pointed out that when they showed adult Misty at home, you could see a box of cornflakes
Oh, okay.
in the background, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Misty's totally cornflake girl. She's not a raisin girl. Misty is definitely a cornflake girl."
So I read briefly about this with the cornflake and the raisin girls. What is
Yeah.
the the message here? I didn't get that part. What's the beef
So
with the
there's
cornflake and the raisin girls? How are they? What's
you
their
you
relation?
want to be the raisin girl.
Okay, okay,
um But basically, it started with a conversation that she was having with a friend of hers about female genital mutilation.
okay.
Um, and yeah, it started with something really heavy, and then just ended up kind of turning into a much broader subject. Um, and I hope I'm telling this correctly. I mean, this is just what I've read. Some of it might not be entirely accurate, but the way that I understand it is it was inspired by a conversation about female genital mutilation and how um, one of the scariest parts of it is that it's usually a trusted female doing it. So like a family member or,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
somebody that is, ultimately that you're trusting who's ultimately betraying you.
Right, right. Okay.
Um and she kind of turned it into a thing about, cornflake girls are kind of like the ones that try to fit in and will do anything to fit in
Mm.
and just go along with the status quo. And raisin girls are kind of the more rebellious.
Anti-establishment.
Yeah, rebellious in a good way. Like
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
they don't want to go along with things just
Like,
to be
because maybe the
popular.
norm really isn't even good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, Misty is definitely a cornflake girl. She just wants to be accepted. She wants to
Yeah,
fit in.
I hear that. I hear that.
Natalie's a raisin girl for sure.
She, yeah, I catch that.
But
Rebellion all around for sure.
yeah. Um Shauna, during this montage, teen Shauna is just kind of wandering around the cabin with Jackie's ear in her hand, staring at it. Um, then we see this was probably the most interesting. Well, not okay. No, this was not the most interesting part because the most interesting is the last part. But
Mhm.
next most interesting is we see Natalie and Travis. Um, they find a tree and you can see the moss around the tree, and it kind of looks like it was freshly disturbed. And it, it looks like, I mean, there's an area that's melted around the tree.
Yeah.
Um, like perhaps somebody was there recently. Um, I suppose it could have been an animal, but I mean, you would think that if it was that there would be more some sort of den or something, like
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, um, but this kind of, in my opinion, supports my theory that Javi found an entrance to something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been reading. Seeing that initially, I didn't have any real theories about it. I
Mhm.
needed to have the fans, the other citizen detectives in the Yellow Jacket community here come through and kind of explain some of that, where it was like, well, this was kind of like what he maybe saw in like the vision with Lottie, except for in his vision, there was no snow,
Yeah,
um, which that could be the same thing. I'm not entirely clear on that yet.
sure.
But also some I saw a theory where it kind of tied into that area in general, where it was like supposedly perhaps this area there are actual like there was like mining facilities in that area, which would explain
Yeah.
the red rivers. Uh,
I We actually
And
did a whole episode covering that.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's great.
If anybody watching this or listening wants to check it out, we did we talked about we did a whole entire episode called Where's Javi?
Okay.
Theorizing on on what could have possibly happened to him. And I've been convinced from the get-go, and it was actually because of one of our listeners / viewers, Jason is his name. He actually sent us an email, and he's the one that put the idea in my head. He sent us a really interesting email about like mines in the area, underground mines in the area and stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, that's a really smart theory. And I started reading more up. I started reading more about the subject and like, in that area and stuff and what could possibly be hidden underground. And there's it's very probable.
Oh, right.
So if you guys want to check out, if you haven't checked out our Where's Javi episode, we talk about it in there. We also talk a little bit about it in we did an episode on the symbol and a serial killer named Robert Hansen, who we thought we were theorizing about whether or not he may have inspired
The
Cabin Daddy, as we like to call him.
Cabin Daddy.
So those two episodes, we talk a lot about the underground mine theory.
Well, I did read. I coincidentally, somebody else had posted something about Robert Hansen. So I did read a little bit about that. But upon reading that really reminded me of his everything he did. Really reminded me of the last season of Dexter. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
So
that was based on him.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense. I know they try and do something like that, and with some of those Dexter killers, at least, have some semblance of reality in a way. But yeah, that was that guy for sure. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. That was absolutely based on Robert Hansen.
Nice.
Great. By the way, if you guys haven't watched Dexter New Blood, what did you think of it?
For me, it was better than the previous final season of Dexter.
Yes.
So I'll say that it didn't change my life, but I'm glad that is like the closure we get, I guess. But I guess they're supposed to do some spin-off series, but
I think
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they accomplished what they set out to do. I wasn't crazy about it in general. It was just kind of okay, but I thought the finale was great.
Yeah, I like that. How it ended was good. But yeah, it just took a minute to get there and stuff. And
yeah. But yeah, I think they wrapped it up in a way better way than they did with
for sure.
the main series.
For sure.
Yeah. But
back to this.
I
think Travis and Nat have stumbled upon some underground something or other, and they don't know it yet. But Nat marked it. It's going to be on one of their maps now.
Yep.
We'll see.
It's interesting for sure. And then it was some people enjoyed this. I thought it was a little too on the nose. Callie finds a part, like conveniently the face part.
Yeah. It's Hollywood. Just let it happen. You gotta let it go.
Just as the Lion and Cornflake Girl, she knows what's going on is hitting, and I was just it's a little on the nose for me, but but it was kind of cool how it lined up.
You figured she knew, anywho, but that's the thing. Is Shauna, is Callie also going to be a partner in crime too?
Right.
Or she going to do something else?
Exactly.
Is Shauna or is Callie the next Jackie? Like,
and then we see the final shot of that montage. Shauna's standing there looking at the ear, and then the pregnancy cravings hit.
I know, right? This is just like peanut butter and pickles, or whatever. Pregnancy cravings.
She chomps down on a delicious Jackie ear cookie.
Which another Liv Houston quote, I guess, is that is the onion ring of the body of the human,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that.
the ear is the onion ring of the body, something like that.
Yeah.
Because
I
that
that
was
makes
from my
sense.
that was from like Santa Clarita Diet, I believe, where
Okay.
I guess they also eat people in the show. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's a lot more
I
lighthearted.
right. I watched I know they were in that show. They played Drew Barrymore's character's daughter. But, yeah, I saw one episode and I couldn't get into it, so I just
I,
gave up.
I haven't ever seen it. I just know that she was in it, and she is still talking about eating people. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
she's on a roll with this stuff right now.
But, yeah, and then they just kinda do a hard cut, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah,
So, the cannibalism has kinda started a little bit,
yeah. That
very light.
trying to tell somebody who hasn't seen this that episode yet, I didn't want to tell them, but that's what I would have said. I would said that the cannibalism has started. Um,
What did you think about her eating the ear? What did you take from that?
um, my girlfriend had like a reaction, like like a mini like gag, because
Yeah.
and just like whoa, but it's kind of the same way where I kind of picked up on like the other Thai in that scene where she was already sleepwalking. I kind of picked up that like, yo, she's thinking about eating this thing right here. Like I had that. I don't know how these actors do that. They can
Yeah.
put that on their face. They didn't say a word, but somehow it can translate. Like if I can see it, it translated. Uh,
Yeah.
and like somehow you got the impression she's thinking about eating the ear. And
Right.
I had another like split second, oh no moment, and then boop, it's too late. It was over. And uh, I was like, wow, okay, good. I mean, good for her, but also like, what does this mean? Is this really why Jackie is sticking around with her into adulthood? Because she actually is like consuming Jackie, like I have so
Yeah.
many questions right after that. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. She's eating her and she's gonna poop her right out.
yeah, right. I mean, we didn't see if she completely ate, but I'm going to believe
Yeah.
she totally ate.
I'm assuming.
I know
I
they
feel
didn't
like
cut.
she
They
just
cut. She didn't just go poop, but yeah, whatever.
I almost feel like it maybe wasn't even that meaningful or dramatic. Like maybe she's just looking at this figuring why did I take this thing? What am I supposed to do with it? It's I can't like I I if we ever get rescued, I mean I can't or when it gets warmer, it's just gonna thaw um and rot and I'm kind of hungry. So you know what? I'm just gonna eat it.
A lucky Jackie's ear.
Yeah.
You can use a lucky Jackie's ear.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly feel like it might have just been, like it wasn't some weird kind of thing of her like her weird coping mechanisms with losing Jackie. I think it was I I I think it might have just been as simple as she was hungry and it was there and she didn't know what to do with it.
Right. I definitely feel like part of it was like kind of what you said, where she's questioning, like, why did I even take this? Like, what am I doing with this thing here?
Yeah.
And yeah, what is the future of this ear? Like, how much
Yeah.
longer can this last? How much longer can I keep the secret of the ear? You know,
Yeah.
like day two, someone's kind of probably gonna smell a freaking something sour coming out of Shauna's pocket. Like, come on now.
Right, exactly.
Um, yeah. And so it's like, oh, that's nothing. Don't worry about that.
I'm
But
sure it was delicious.
yeah, she took care of business. No further questions. She got it taken care of.
Um so that was the first episode and the next episode has another they're really killing it with the titles this
Is that
season.
I was gonna say is that pun?
Yeah, edible complex.
Right. No, yeah, I'm hearing, just looking at the titles now, especially after episode one, has a whole different like feel to it. It already kind of gave off an interesting vibe just knowing the titles, but
Yeah.
after watching the first episode and knowing that it played out like that, it's like, wow, I should probably research just these titles just to see if I like if I'm missing anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I'm kind of excited about covering this one because, like I said, I won't tell you anything. Don't worry. But
That it's
I
good.
have seen it,
That's all I need to know.
and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Very messed up, and very enjoyable.
All right. Well, that's
um,
next on my agenda. It's gonna go watch this messed up, enjoyable stuff.
and as for what is up with the Antler Queens, I did a live video that I did not leave up because it basically was just kind of explaining what's been going on with the channel, and um it just wasn't something that I wanted to keep up on the channel. I just didn't think it was important. But I'm kind of taking it episode by episode. I am working on I'm still hoping to do live after shows on Sunday nights and have someone that I'm kind of trying to weasel in there to be my my live after show co-host, but it's a matter of scheduling. So
Understandable.
I'm yeah, I may need people for that still, but I'm hoping to be able to do it. I can certainly that's something that I can probably do on my own. Just I mean, there'll be enough people in the chat, but recaps are absolutely still happening. I've already got a good portion of the season lined up with guest hosts.
Nice.
So so the Antler Queens is back, and we're I had posted before about a jacket giveaway. Gonna do that still. Just figuring things out right now.
Sweet.
It's been a little chaotic.
I do
Um,
remember the Jackie giveaway. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, but Eric, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course, it's been my pleasure. Yeah, normally I don't get to deep dive
Yeah,
in long discussions about this sort of stuff, so it's been great for me. I felt really good about it, like having
yeah.
to get this stuff out of my brain and say it actually.
For sure. And everyone watching slash listening, if you could please take a moment to share this episode, subscribe, like, do all the YouTube things. I the channel really could use a lot of support right now. So just however you can contribute, and sharing is wonderful. Um, thank you everyone for your continued support. And I think it's safe to say, keep an eye on our social media. It's Antler Queens on Instagram and Twitter. I think it's safe to say that you can probably see me here right after the episode on Sunday night live. If not, then I will post something. I will post something either way. But I am recording an episode 2 recap on Tuesday. So that's definitely happening and will be posted on Thursday. That will not be live. This was kind of a like combo recap live episode. So
Mhm.
the lives will be Sundays only.
Glad I could join
Um,
you for this. It's a very special occasion then.
yeah, I'd love to have you back for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
just let me know. I'll be down to chat about this stuff for sure.
cool. Um, so Eric, stick around for a second.
Sure.
And everyone else, peace, love, and Yellowjackets. I will see you in a couple of days. Bye, y'all.
Yay.